Hello there.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Good morning, Vietnam!
It's the Al Travis Show. We love having on. It's John Hinderaker with American Experiment in the chat with us today. John, how are you?
Doing great, Al.
I thought about it as I was sending out my emails about, hey, remember, we got the show tomorrow. I was literally in the garage with my son, home for personal stuff, having a cigar, and the news is on in the background, whatever's going on. And he surprised the heck out of me, John, with, it was Israel and the Iran thing, and it was just the graphs going on. Volume wasn't up. But he perks up when it comes on. He goes, what are you thinking, Dad? Is it World War III? Because then he started talking about where China was at and Russia. And I'm not trying to mean to my kid, but he doesn't generally, this isn't his bailiwick, but he's wondering, are we going to get a draft? And he had more knowledge about what was going on there than I would ever have given him credit for. It's just not his thing, but he had it. And I wonder how many kids his age, he's 22, are really concerned about, are watching this news. Your thoughts on what's going on in Israel with Iran and Hezbollah? Israel is fighting on every front.
Well, there's a lot you could say about this, Al. I guess what I would start with is the fact that the Iranian government, the mullahs, have been the source of most of the evils that we have been seeing in the Middle East for a long time. Decades.
70s.
They're the ones that funded and controlled Hamas. They're the ones that funded and controlled Hezbollah. They're the ones that funded and controlled the Houthis. Mm-hmm. And they have threatened not only Israel, but the United States and the Sunni Gulf states that have more or less aligned themselves with Israel. And they are feared and dreaded really throughout that region, while at the same time they're allied with both Russia and China. And the United States has never repaid the debt that we owe to the mullahs. You know, going back to what was it, 1978 or 79, when they attacked the American embassy in Tehran. They took hundreds of Americans prisoner, and they held them for over a year and a half.
No, 700
Those
days.
American hostages were released on the day when Ronald Reagan was inaugurated. Not a coincidence.
Yeah.
I guess that was 1981, so they were taken, I guess, in 1979 So we've never repaid the mullahs for doing that. And so this has been a long time coming. They have been working away on nuclear weapons for a long time. And they say, when we get them, we're going to bomb Israel with them. Mm-hmm. You don't make any secret of that. Their program has been set back a couple of times. Various agreements have been implemented to try to persuade them to stop, but they don't stop. Yeah. They want those nuclear bombs, and they're very close. By some estimates, they were within a month or two, maybe even less, of having deliverable nuclear bombs, in their arsenal. And that's why Israel attacked. They just can't allow that to happen. And President Trump said way back in 2011 that the Iranians cannot be allowed to have nuclear weapons. It doesn't just threaten Israel, it threatens us and others. So, this has been a long time coming. I think most people have been kind of amazed by the effectiveness of the Israeli attack.
Yeah.
They have neutralized Iranian missiles to an amazing degree. They have very selectively hit critical military targets and taken out military personnel, and they control the skies over Iran now. And the what's left of the mullahs are, they're hanging on and refusing to surrender. So we'll see what happens.
Let me ask you this, though, bringing it back home. Donald Trump knows more about this than I, obviously let on. It's no coincidence that he said 2 months ago that Iran, you got 60 days, let's figure this thing out. And on the 61st day, Israel's flying, bombs over there. They cannot be coincidence. He gave him it isn't a veiled threat, a secret threat. It's like, you got 2 months, figure this thing out. But now when they're there, the talk today, sir, is that we have some 30-pound Buster bomb and their nuclear facilities underground, 300 yards. If America sends that bomb, if we send our troops there, we're in, right? In for a penny, in for a pound. Can we do a one-strike thing and get out and not be blamed for it?
Well, we're not sending any troops in. I mean, that's not happening.
Well, I mean by plane. If you're going to go drop that bomb.
Yeah, so the only place where the Israelis could need our help, and I'm not sure they do, the Iranians, one of their nuclear facilities is at a place called Fordow, which is basically under a mountain. It's
Yeah.
inside a mountain. And the only ordnance in the world that will actually penetrate a mountain and blow something up is, I don't know what the official name is, but bunker buster bombs are what they're mostly known as. And we've got them and the ability to deliver them. And so I think it's entirely possible the Israelis may be able to effectively destroy that site, render it inoperable without that armament.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that. But I think that's what it's going to come down to. If the Israelis can't take out that nuclear facility without our ordnance, the bunker buster bomb, then I think Trump probably will let him use it. And one thing I'm not sure about, Al, I've seen different things about this. I'm not sure whether that bomb requires some kind of special delivery. I don't know whether we can just give one to the Israelis and say, here, you got airplanes, you drop it, or whether we might have to drop it. Does that make a difference? I don't know.
All right, fair enough. But by participating, giving the bombs, that sort of thing, how do I put this? Will the others, Russia, China, stand up and say, we're drawing a line here. You've hurt Iran, and is this the start of something much bigger?
Well, I don't think so. The Iranians have been attacking. The Iranians have killed lots of Americans. When we were fighting in Iraq, the Iranians were really the main enemy. They were the ones supplying the IEDs. They've done many, many missile attacks against American bases in the Middle East. They've attacked us. They've killed a number of Americans. They've really got it coming. The Russians, I think, are in no shape to help anybody. They got their hands full in Ukraine, to put it mildly. And the Chinese are playing, I think, a different game. I mean, the Chinese would like to see the Iranians do well, but I don't, not to the point where they would even think about doing anything militarily, is my guess.
Okay.
They're playing a very different game, basically trying to take over our economy and destroy us from inside.
All right, fair enough. I want to go to break a little early because on the other side, if we can talk about what happened over the weekend, I think we should do some of that. And you are in the midst of it, my friend. You're, what do you call them? Summer tour. You're in the midst of it. I want to talk about that. So can we do that after the break?
You bet.
You got him. He's John Hinderaker, president of American Experiment.
All the special interests are represented in St. Paul. But who speaks for you? Center of the American Experiment does. Our policy fellows dig into the tough issues that matter to you and offer common sense solutions on education, taxes, crime, and energy. American Experiment is the trusted, nonpartisan voice of Minnesotans like you. We are working every day to make Minnesota a better, safer, more prosperous place. We are American Experiment. Go to americanexperiment.org to learn more.
Dust from livestock buildings can be harmful to your animals and to you. Coughing animals can lead to costly vet visits and other serious health problems. Now there's an environmentally safe solution for your dust problems. It's called Dust Lock. Dust Lock can control the dust all summer long with just one application. Protect your animals and your health with Dust Lock. Learn more at dustlock.com.
begins. The Al Travis Show. Nothing but talk.
I've got him, John Hinderaker, in with the American Experiment. Just going to get your feelings on what happened over the weekend, John. As a guy who lives in the cities, your organization's been terrorized by unknown assailants. How did this hit you when you saw it this weekend?
Well, it was shocking, Al. Terrible events. We have been living in an era, and maybe every era, is an era of low-level political violence. We saw the 2 assassination attempts on President Trump. We had the guy who tried to assassinate Justice Kavanaugh. We had James Hodgkinson, who attacked the Republican congressmen as they were practicing for the annual charity baseball game. And then there have been other incidents as well. We, of course, had the George Floyd riots of 2020. Yeah. I think there was something like 30 people killed in the course of those riots. There's this kind of political violence that bubbles under and every once in a while erupts. And of course, one of the things that make it so difficult is it's so unpredictable. Who actually is going to carry out an attack like this? So here we have this guy, Vance Bolter, and everybody who knew him kind of scratches their head. Gee, he was never that political, He'd never done anything that we know of that would cause him to be a suspect or to think he might go off like this and start killing people. He seems to have fallen on hard times. He must have been somewhat politically connected years ago. He got himself appointed to the Governor's Workforce Development Board, first by Mark Dayton and then reappointed by Tim Walz. But his career seems to have not gone well in recent years. He was trying to get this international security business going. Didn't seem like it was going anywhere. If you look at him in LinkedIn, you'd think he's this important guy, but reality is he had a part-time job delivering bodies to a morgue, and I think he was working at a local 7-Eleven. Very weird, though. He owned kind of an expensive house. He owned, 5 or 7 vehicles registered to him. It's a very odd situation. Even though he owned a house, he had a wife and 5 children. Part of the time, he lived with these roommates.
The roommate thing made no sense. Yeah, I agree with that.
Very strange. Very strange situation. But that said, there's nothing until the day it happened. There was nothing that would have put this guy on the list of suspects for possible political violence. So it's a terrible, terrible story.
Well, we'll get to the nitty gritty of it. Let's give it some time. But there's obviously a process that has to go through now as far as special elections. If we're going to have a special session, it's got to be sooner than later. There's a whole lot going on. I don't need to get into it now. But on a bigger scale, what is that going to do for Minnesota? Obviously they're going to have to relook at if this were to happen again, how quickly can we get a hold of everybody? We've had a lot of senators on those core ones. In fact, that Hoffman gets shot and they realize Hortman's family's not far away and got cops there. It was brilliant copping. But then the idea that how do we get protection to everybody else? Some senators and reps further out just gotten texts from their police department, you okay? Others had cops stop in their yard. Are we going to have a system in place to handle crazy like this if it comes again?
Well, that's kind of the easy part, Al, in a sense. I suppose the answer is yes. They'll have some kind of a rapid response, system set up where if a legislator gets attacked, all the legislators will immediately be notified of what's going on. And I think that's probably an improvement. But of course, this is probably never going to happen again in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to be somewhere else. I think the broader question is security generally. You mentioned it earlier in our conversation, Al. My organization got firebombed. January of 2024. They never did catch the perpetrators. That was evidently an act of political violence. These things can happen, but it's also kind of like lightning striking. This particular kind of thing where someone, goes to a legislator's house and tries to shoot him, and likely is never going to happen again in Minnesota. But the broader question is, do we try to provide more security for more people? Yep. There's 200 members or so of the Minnesota legislature, and they're not the only office holders, of course, but there's 200 to start with. And these attacks happen in the middle of the night. Do we try to provide 24/7 security for hundreds of government officials?
I don't think the budget's for that. I guess I was thinking the Israelis have ruined wanting to carry a pager anymore. But if you had a pager on you and something goes wrong and instantly it buzzes all of them, and this means there's a category or whatever. I don't know how to, but when I found out like Brooklyn Park, they realized the guy was on the loose. How quickly they geofenced that off, and if you had a cell phone in Brooklyn Park, it was going off saying, huddle in place, don't leave the play, don't go outside. I was rather impressed with it, and then they realized, hey, it's a cop going to go to the door. This guy's dressed like a cop. They sent another one out. Don't answer the door unless there's two of you. They used a lot of that weird, that new technology. Fantastic, and I'm just wondering if they can't do the same thing for our legislators somehow. I'm not that smart.
I think so, and I mean, these people all get texts. Legislators communicate all the time via text. So I think it's not, giving people notice is not that difficult. Text is going to work fine for that.
But at 2 a.m, you answer any of your texts at 2 a.m.
Well, I'm fast asleep.
Well, I turn mine off. I'm going to wait in the morning. I'll check it out. We got to get to one thing before you go, because some stuff continues on, and this state will move on, and we'll keep doing our thing. You guys got yours. You are in the heat of it, my friend. The 2025 summer tour. And I actually got because I'm as close to Mankato as anybody. I have some Mankato friends. Mankato's today. I know that.
Mankato and Hutchinson are today. Mankato is at 11:30. Doors open. Program, I think, starts at 12. Hutchinson, doors open at 5. Program starts at 5:30. We've done 2 of these summer tour events. There's another 15 or 20 on the calendar. I'm sure we'll add another 2 or 3 before we're done. So go to AmericanExperiment.org, click on the tab at the top that says events, and you can read all about the events, where they are, and you can register for one near you. They have just a nominal cost. And the topic this year is Minnesota Doge, cut the waste, save the budget. It's all about how we can get our spending under control. We're still looking at a $2 billion structural deficit. This last legislature didn't balance the budget. We got to cut $2 billion in spending just to bring the budget into balance. But then we got to cut some taxes. Our taxes are way too high. We talk about that in this program. And we actually lay out specifically where we think the budget should be cut in order both to give us a balanced budget finally, but also to create room for reasonably significant tax cuts.
Now, I don't know. I know you have affiliates in Mankato. There's a American Experiment group. What do you call them?
Chapter.
So you have a chapter there. Do I have to be a member of the chapter? Do I have to be a member of that to go to this, or can I go to this and if I want to become a member, do I need to be a member to play?
You don't have to be anything. No, anybody who goes to AmericanExperiment.org and registers, frankly, you can show up at the door, No, you don't have to be a member of the chapter, although we certainly encourage joining our chapters around the state. We've got a half dozen or so, but no, just go to AmericanExperiment.org, click the tab at the top that says events, and that will tell you all about it.
Fair enough. I just want to make sure everybody knew if we get there and you couldn't. John, I appreciate you. It's a weird week to be discussing anything, and you come in here and do it with me. I thank you for coming on the show, my friend. Appreciate you.
Great to be with you, Al.
Go to AmericanExperiment.org and check it out.
All the special